Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Be She podcast. Be seen, be heard, be empowered. And I've been chatting behind the scenes with an amazing, incredible woman and entrepreneur, and I'm really excited to be bringing this conversation to you today. So I am joined by the incredible Sue Parker. Hi, Sue. Thank you for joining me today. I can't wait to dive in.
Hi, Heidi. I'm so thrilled to be chatting with you and talking to your listeners today.
I am too. And before we start and dive in, I'm just going to give a introduction to you so everyone listening can learn more about you, and then we will get into this amazing conversation. So Sue Parker is a passionate entrepreneur, podcaster, global speaker, and author, opener of the WIT Global Conference and empowering others in over 50 countries. She became a trapped corporate tech career mom, sacrificing her freedom and family. She went from burnout to breakthrough, becoming an unleashed lifestyle entrepreneur as a transformed woman, living her best life on her terms, and is still figuring this out. Sue is on a mission to motivate and empower others to step confidently and powerfully into your future self. There's so much there, Sue, that I love. A couple things is that you went from burnout to breakthrough. When I first stepped into entrepreneurship, my biggest fear was being seen. And I was in a coaching program, and one of the women inside of there called me forward. And she was like, I have a challenge for you. Will you take it? I didn't know what that challenge was at the time, but I'm like, sure. What could it be? And she told me that I needed to go live in that moment. And she gave me the title of my live stream, and it was going from it was what was it, breakdown to breakthrough. So I love that. Totally resonated with me when you said burnout to breakthrough, because when we're going through something serious, like serious for us, whenever it's burnout or breakdown, we need to move through that in order to get to our next step, which is our breakthrough. So my first question for you, oh, there's another thing that you said too that was incredible, which is on your own terms, because that's how that's part of my one-liner is helping female entrepreneurs build their businesses on their terms, because it's really important as women, which we're going to dive into with your story and your journey, is that everybody's story and journey is different, and we get to do it on our own terms and what works best for our life and our family and our situation. So my first question for you is your path, your journey, how you support others now with your business and stepping into entrepreneurship. I'm guessing this is something that you move through and how you help people now, or is it something that you were passionate from before? And how did you begin your entrepreneurship journey?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I have lived and breathed everything that people are going through right now. If you are still in your corporate role, you're a leadership in role, maybe you're trying to get into leadership, you're building your side hustle. I was there. I hit burnout in that phase. I then went to building websites and sales funnels and learning all about online business and doing all of those courses that claim you're going to get a 6 or 7 figure business in 30 days. I went through that journey of realizing that there's a lot to this. There's a lot you've got to overcome. There's a person you've got to become. And through that journey, I picked up a lot of the strategies, the how to, and joining the masterminds and being part of those big coaching programs as I was building my own business, which was basically building funnels initially. And this was to help women escape the 9 to 5, because they were like, hey, so you did this, you're doing leadership coaching. How did you set all this stuff up? And I said, I can show you. And that kind of evolved. And now it's become much more around this mindset, because when they say 80% of it is your mindset and your belief, they are absolutely right. You can find a good blog, you can find a good course that will tell you all the how to, but there's not many things that can get you through that 80%, your blocker. What's going on there? Your mindset, you're stepping into a future self identity, something that you might have dreamt about many years ago, but you've now become this current self, which has lots of commitments and expectations on you. And you've become this person that all of a sudden you've got to give yourself permission to change and evolve and grow. And sometimes we're waiting for other people to give us their permission and support. And what I found is we all need to go through a process of engaging with the vision and clarity of what our future self and future life we want to build, what makes us happy, and reconnecting with our true self. We've got to then step more confidently into this version of our future self and unleash what you've probably got loads of potential inside of you, which is why you want to be an entrepreneur. And you know you're not using it. You can sometimes move forward with that strategy and you've got your handbrake on. You're accelerating, you're doing all the right things, but the handbrake's on. We've got to figure out what's going on there. You've got to figure out where your limiting beliefs and self-sabotage is coming from. And then we have to manifest it. We actually have to take action, inspired action to do these things. So in a nutshell, I have been through this journey. I'm still going through this journey because for every level, there's a new devil. And now I'm taking other women through that journey who are either leaving the 9 to 5 or the early entrepreneurship journey, or they've been in it for a while, but they've realized there's something missing. They're not getting the results that they could be because the potential's still inside. They've not stepped into this future ideal self that they want to create that's actually powerful and has got all the intuition, all the answers for everything, and can do amazing things in the world. So yeah, I've been there. It's hard, it's tough, and I'm still going through it. But you know what? It's worth it. I say this every day.
I love that you said every level, new devil. Like that is such a good reminder because at every time it comes, there's so much there because not only when we're about to hit our next level, we're moving at every time. I'm still like leaning into that whole phrase because I love it. I haven't heard that before. But every time that we're moving into our next level, we're up leveling in some way, it gets very scary because it's out of our comfort zone, right? So when we're comfortable where we are, we can kind of tend to stay there. And we're, like you said, you're doing all the things, you have all the tactics, you're giving all the to-dos. So I'm curious, what led you, because you said you went through burnout, like when you're looking back, what was it that were the signs that burnout was coming? So we can like share with the audience, like if you are in this stage, let's help you like navigate this before burnout happens. Because I went through burnout too. And unfortunately, when you get there, it's a little too late. You have to there's a lot of things you need to move through, but there's ways that we could avoid it before we get there. So what were the signs looking back for you that could have supported you before you hit that burnout stage?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So there's the physical symptoms. There can be nausea. For me, it was heart palpitations, it was sweating, it was insomnia. I mean, we're getting quite extreme. At one point, my heart was pumping so hard out of my chest. My brain would not switch off. It was going around like a washing machine. I remember the night that it hit me, and it was too late by then. So if you get to this point, you know you've probably gone too far already. But if you are staring at the ceiling at night and your mind feels like it is a washing machine going round and round with all these thoughts and the pressure is there and you can't seem to switch it off, you are probably heading for burnout. If you have constant headaches, if you're not eating right, if you're not sleeping right. And I remember that night with the heart palpitations coming out of my chest, I actually thought I was having a heart attack of some kind. And I've heard this many times, people going to A&E thinking they've got something wrong with them. And I just couldn't breathe. My chest was tight. It was just the most horrible experience. And the next day I just cried. I broke down. Basically, up until that point, I had been this strong person putting on a front. Don't let anybody see that you're failing. Put on the mask. Don't let anybody see that you're struggling. Because as soon as they see that, you think, hang on, they're going to think I can't do this. I can't hack it. I can't be seen to not be able to hack it. So you put on this front all the time and then you put more pressure on yourself. And here's what I learned later on. A lot of that pressure, it doesn't come externally. We think it does. We blame the boss. We blame the pressure for money. We blame our partners for not supporting us. We blame the fact that we were too busy and kids wanted everything and everybody's demanding so much of you that there's only so much of you to give. But you know what? Who is demanding the most? Who is saying this all must be done right now, in this moment, in this day, in this week? You are. And when somebody said to me, just need to dial down that pressure, take a step back, put some distance between you, then you'll start to figure it out. And one of the most useful strategies that you can use, and this can happen in any case of overwhelm, because I get it now. The overwhelm kicks in. I'm a mum of 3. So Monday morning kicks in, school kicks in. I've got a massive to-do list for my business that I want to get done. And you might be hit by 3 messages from school. A poorly child. Maybe it's the Easter egg run, or it's World Book Day, or something's going on. And it just adds up as little micro doses of stress that turn into overwhelm, and it can be bearing down on your shoulders. And here's the thing, in that moment, you're thinking, I'm going to give up on all my goals because these are all my have to do's. I've got to deal with the kids. I've got life admin. I've got school admin. I've got all of these other things going on. As an entrepreneur, you're building a business, maybe you've got a client. So everything else just goes away and you just think, I'll leave that. But that's a danger zone. You're in danger of giving up on your goals and of what you want to achieve in life. So what we need to do is the same thing we do with a crying baby. We put it down in its cot, we walk away. We put some distance between ourselves so we can calm down. You calm down, you get in touch with your emotions. It's kind of like emotional regulation, isn't it? It's the ultimate way of being able to control our reaction. Now, there's this equation that with every event, there's your reaction, and that determines your outcome. Well, in the case of burnout and stress, if the event is, I've got loads of work on, it's being piled on, I've got loads of clients, I've got lots of stress, money worries, and your reaction is, must do more, must work longer hours, stay up late, neglect my sleep, the way I eat. I mean, I ate terribly during that time. I binged on rubbish food. Then the outcome is burnout. I'm not performing very well. My performance is getting worse, which is making me even more stressed because I'm not producing the clients or the money or the results in my business. I'm not being a good mum. That makes me even more stressed because now I feel guilty and I hate myself. And it's just a cyclical cycle. So these events stack up and we need to put some distance between them. And then we need to decide how we're going to react. So the overwhelm with all of the admin at school, the life admin and your business, then we need to decide how we're going to react. And I'm going to react by planning things in. I'm going to react by dealing with the urgent stuff and delegating the other stuff and deleting some other stuff off my list. The outcome is I feel more in control. But in that moment, it's really hard to do. And you almost need to recognize the pressure that you are putting on yourself in the run up to that. And I wouldn't admit that for about 2 years. I wouldn't admit the pressure that I'd been doing.
Yeah, there's so many things in there that resonate with me. And this conversation is so timely for me personally. I'm going to share. I did a live stream today and I got emotional on it because I'm navigating through some things and I've been journaling and a lot of emotions coming up, and I'm not a crier up until now. So I'm shifting that because you shared that, like putting the baby down and stepping away, like make your kids are safe. Like we get as moms, we're going to make sure that everything is safe, but you also get to step away and take time for yourself and prioritize that because it's really important. And if you need to go and cry, go release the emotions and cry. And you also shared like the physical feelings, like be in tune with your physical pain. That resonated with me because what was it back in, it's now when we're recording this, it's March. Last, I think it was July, I woke up and I had severe pain in my chest and I was nervous. And every time I breathed, it was deep. And I spoke with someone and they reached out to someone who was in the medical space or like urgent responder, and he shared with me based on my responses, he's like, you need to go to the ER. So I went to the ER and I was perfectly healthy, but I was manifesting this through all of the stress that I was taking on and putting on myself. And again, like you said, we put so much on our shoulders. And I'm going to talk into women because that's who we're talking to. And that's who both of us serve. But as women, we have a lot of hats we're juggling and we take on a lot of those emotions and we push them down. Like you said, it took you 2 years. You pushed them, you stayed alone for 2 years and kept this to yourself. And it's really important as women or as human beings that we're reaching out and asking for support and creating this community, which is why I'm so glad that you're on this, podcast and sharing this, because I think it's such an important thing that I felt for a long, long time. If I share my weakness, if I'm vulnerable, that's weakness. If I have to show that I don't have it all together, that's weakness. Other women out there are going to be like, oh, well, she's emotional wreck. She's lack for a better shit show, you know, like she doesn't have her act together, when at the end of the day, like we just need to feel like we're not alone. That's the biggest strength. Like being vulnerable is superpower. And it took me a long time to understand that. And like you said at the beginning, you're still going through the journey. This isn't a journey that ends like that. Once we move through it one time, like you said, every level is the next level, however you put it, was just perfection, because it's going to come back. It's like fear. Fear never goes away. Fear to me is the sign that this is your next cut. It's not, it's not jumping out of, I'm afraid of heights, so I won't jump out of an airplane. My goal is to, by the end of this year, like I really want to overcome that. But at the end of the day, like fear of stepping, like most of the time, our fear is just something that we're allowing to hold us back, but it's not going to kill us. Like doing that is getting us to our next cut. So I love so much that you shared. And you and I behind the scenes had talked, and you had said something like it affected your relationship. And I'm not in a relationship right now. But I know that my entrepreneurship journey, my being a single mom, my schedule has affected relationships, which is fine because they're not my people. They're not my person, right? In that case. But can you share more about that, how it affected your relationship and how you've navigated through that since then and created what you created as far as the success of moving through that burnout? Because I know even though we hit burnout once, it's possible to definitely show up again. And I know for me, that's all the signs you've shared is what I've been feeling lately. So I'm like, wow, flashing lights showing up for me right now.
Heidi, just before we move on, there's something I learned about crying. So we suppress crying. Like you say, it's a weakness. We never want to be seen crying. And I used to do this, and I get the feeling you are like this too. We're especially entrepreneur women, because we're so powerful. You're like, I just want to do this and I want to appear strong like all the men in my industry. You know, they're all, the Mark Zuckerbergs of this world. They don't show up crying on the TV. Elon Musk doesn't. So you feel that you need to show up the same. Here's what I learned about crying. It's your nervous system's way of regulating. When you cry, it allows your body to get back to homeostasis. That stress hormone, that cortisol that's just gone way up high, that crying brings you back down to regulation. And when I heard that, I was like, I need a cry. I need a little cry every now and then. It's healthy. It's my body's way of getting back. Because every time I'm fighting it and saying, I'm not going to cry, I'm not that girl that cries, then you're just making it worse. You're piling on and you're suppressing all this emotion. You've got to feel it. So when they say feel it, actually, we need to for our nervous system. So I learned that, and I thought that really helped me to just every now and then, when I need a little cry, when the hormones are in, when what's going on. I mean, let's face it, we've all got cycles, and we're working to a cycle as well. You just need to do that. So I just wanted to share that in case that helps anybody who's suppressing the tears.
That's so good. Yeah.
Like we do. My relationship. Wow. Okay. I'm going to say it wasn't easy. I shut him out. We bickered, and there was definitely a feeling that this might be the end, because I'd stopped communicating. I felt weak. I felt pathetic. I felt like he was going to leave because I turned into this complete wreck. I was snappy all of the time, even to be asked, what do you want to do for dinner tonight? And I would snap. This was completely sort of unasked for, uncalled for. He must have been thinking, gosh, this woman's really hard to live with. And it's only because I realized I had to open up to somebody, and I had to start to communicate better. Communicate what my needs were, because for a long time, like you said, you take on the responsibility of being the breadwinner, earning some money. You take on the responsibility of being a daughter, being a good daughter who looks after their mum and dad, who fetches and carries things, who makes appointments for them. Maybe you take on, you take on the job of being the mum. I took on a lot of the house admin, a lot of the housework, like women often do, a lot of the life admin things, a lot of our social calendar, all hung around my neck because I took on those roles, like you probably are doing too. You're probably nodding and going, yeah, I do. If I don't order the food shop, maybe, I don't know, maybe you've got really good balance. We didn't have really great balance of responsibilities. My husband would do, or my boyfriend then at the time, he would do very manual jobs, like fixing stuff in the house. So I felt that I had to do everything else. And we learned that from our mums. We learn that from their mums. And you're doing a job as well, you're earning money as well. So we're actually, I believe that as much as, you know, our equal rights have really helped us, at the same time, we've got to affirm some kind of balance between our relationships. But what I learned is I wasn't communicating clearly enough what I needed from the relationship. He is in his own world thinking, well, I've got my hobby out here and I've got my work and then I come back and then we do this. He didn't understand that for me, I needed some time at this time. I needed some help doing this. I needed to delegate. We needed to share some of these responsibilities. When I learned that, I just needed to communicate, okay, this has happened. So from now on, I'm not. And what happened is because the burnout was so bad, I actually became incapable of doing anything for several months. And this meant that they just didn't happen. So for a period, me not doing it meant somebody else had to do them. Somebody else had to get the shopping. Somebody else had to organize the meals. Somebody else had to take the rubbish out. And by doing that, it just kind of happened that I dropped a load of balls. I dropped all these balls on the floor and somebody else had to pick them up.
Yeah.
For a while, my husband had to be the breadwinner to cover a gap we had. But it was hard. But what I learned is I was not communicating what I needed. And once we'd got this open relationship where I was able to say, and I still don't do it well all of the time now, I have to be in a position where I'm clear, where we have a shared calendar, where we know what's happening, and then it works. But for some of the time, it doesn't. Some of the time you can still say, oh, didn't you know I need to do this? Don't you respect that I need this to happen? And then you remind yourself, it's my fault for not communicating properly. I need to learn to communicate better. And that's how a relationship is. And you almost have to spell out what is support to you, because I feel like in days gone by, there was always behind every strong man, there was a strong woman, you know, and she supported his journey. And I remember reading the book about the White House and reading about Michelle Obama for 10 years supported her husband's career. And she was basically the woman in the background looking after the kids and dealing with everything else while she supported his career. Then when he left the White House, she got to do her book. She got to empower women. Now it was her turn. And I read that and I remember thinking, okay, there's going to be seasons in our life where I'm going to take a back seat. I'm going to focus on the kids. I'm going to focus on this. My business is going to grow very slowly and organically, which happened because I had young kids. And actually, that worked really well. But that means I kind of have to support his career more than mine. But then there'll be other times where kids gone to school. Okay, right, I can do a bit more now. And that means I can say, right, support is shifting a little bit. We're going to equalize here. And it's my turn. It's my turn to have my moment, to do my things. But I think most couples, we don't talk about that. You know, when you set out finding somebody, you're looking for common ground, you're looking for something to connect on, and you want everything to be, you know, oh, we agree on this, we agree on that, we agree on the other. And then you throw kids into the mix and all of a sudden you don't agree on anything. And then throw businesses and pressures and stress into the mix. And you really need to revisit those conversations because you've grown, your values have changed, your priorities have changed, and now we need to communicate much better.
Yeah, that's so good. Communication is everything. And that's, I think, that is the lack of, that's what's missing when relationships fall apart, whether it is in your personal, interpersonal relationships or in your business or whatever with your team. No, whether you're in a personal relationship with your partner or your relationship in your business with your team, it's all about communication because both of them are teams, right? It's just which team are you focused on in that moment? And I love that quote, like behind every good man is a good woman. Well, behind every good woman is a good man. And that we leave that out because it's such an old fashioned way. That quote is like, just, I feel like it's a little outdated. It kind of goes both ways. Like you said, there has to be balance and ebbs and flows in that, how that's navigated, right? Like your husband is going to need support at certain times and you're going to need support in your business and with what your needs are at certain times. And connection and collaboration is currency, but that all comes through communication, right? And you and your husband are collaborators in this big unit that, you know, beautiful unit family business together that you're building for your family and what your dreams and goals are, and on your terms, which means you and him as a team and a unit. So I love that. It's beautiful. And it all comes down to communication. So Yeah, and I think when I know for me, I'll speak for me, I'm not going to speak for anyone else, but when we're feeling like we're alone and we're lone wolfing it, the first thing that's missing is we're not talking to anybody. We're sitting in our stuff, we're hiding, we're thinking nobody understands me. And that is victim mode, completely settling into victim mode. And we don't realize it at the time because we're in our stuff, and it can be very scary, be very daunting. And we don't want anybody to see us as weak. We're afraid, like, are people going to see us as a failure? Are those people that said, I told you so, you shouldn't have done this, you should have done this instead, and if we're being vulnerable and saying, what, it's just not working right now, or I need support, then that could be us saying that they're right. What is do you have any take on that?
There's always a really long, messy middle, isn't there? Always a really long, messy middle that you've kind of got to get to grips with. But when you said something earlier on about communication and collaboration and all the rest of it, there's also an element of permission. We are waiting for somebody to give us permission to follow our dreams, to build our business, to step out and do something. And sometimes you just need to say, actually, I just need to give myself permission to do that. And I haven't given myself permission. And that's why I'm not showing up. I don't need to wait for somebody else, but I haven't given me permission to do this. And I found that a really powerful thing when I was in that victim mindset that you talked about. Because the victim mindset says, because of somebody else, or because of this thing in life that's happened, I now can't do this, or I now will never get X. I'm in this situation. I feel overwhelmed. I've got no time. I've got no money. I'm doing everything for everybody else but myself. And things keep going wrong. When you're in that mindset, you're almost saying, there's no control. I have no control over this. But the only person deciding what you are doing in this moment is you. And nobody needs to give you permission, but you need to give yourself permission to say, that thing over there, I'm not touching. That thing over here, I'm going to stop worrying about because I can't change it. This thing here, this thing I can focus on. I can focus on whether I sit on the sofa at night and scroll social media and don't do anything. I can decide whether I'm going to sit on my laptop and play with my website again and not put any content out there or do a reach out or a mail shot or anything. You're the one in the driving seat here. But the problem is, that victim mindset, we're looking for all the things out of our control to blame for why we haven't done it. It's hard. That messy middle is so hard. And you're building mental resilience all the time and strength to get through it because it's not easy. But know that by it not being easy, you are becoming more strong.
Yeah. Yeah. That stepping into your self-leadership at the end of the day, whether it's working or not working, it's all with us, right? There's no blame, there's no shame. It's just a matter of learning what's working and not working and making tweaks along the way to fix it, or to shift it and see if that works, right? Every action brings clarity. And communication brings just support and support basically is what I'm getting. And communication also brings currency, and currency comes in different forms. Collaboration and connection are currency, and that could mean love. Love is currency, right? Depending on what what you're looking for in that space. Money, like inside of your business. So I have a question. We talked briefly a little bit about balance earlier, and you touched on it while you were sharing. So you're a mom of 3 children. So, and you have a business and you have a husband and you have a home that, you're creating your dreams with your husband. How are you creating balance? Because I had a couple months ago, I had an aha. I used to strive. And I think that's part of what my stresses were, where I was striving for work-life balance. I'm a single mom, and I've always been like, I'm working toward this because I did have burnout years ago. I stepped away from the business. I had to. There was so much going on with my kids and me working 2 jobs and not trying to hold it all together. And I finally said, something's got to give, or it's not going to go well. So I stepped away from the business, and it was the best decision I made in that moment because now it's so much different and better. But again, like you said, it's still a journey, right? We're still taking sometimes 2 steps back to get 3 steps forward. And so balance, I kind of threw that out the other, like threw that idea out a couple months ago, because I was actually on a podcast around self-care and I was sharing, and I was like, I had this thing. I'm like, you know what? I don't believe in work-life balance anymore. I believe in work-life grace, because that scale is going to be tipping in one direction or the other. It's rarely going to be it's balanced. If we're striving for that balance, we're striving for perfectionism. And I'm a recovering perfectionist. And I was like, okay, I've always said that about myself. I've thrown away perfectionism when it comes to my messaging, when it comes to putting content out there. Like, I've gotten good at that, but striving for this work-life balance, I'm like, I'm still striving for perfectionism. No wonder I'm so stressed out. So how are you creating that in your world?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, this changes with the seasons, but I focus on quality more than anything. I don't believe in the balance per se. I believe in more a blend, but
Mm,
it's all about quality time. I'm really strict on boundaries, and I do almost like a release meditation technique, which is basically I set intentions between different phases of the day. I never, ever, ever commit to anything in the morning when we're getting ready for the school run. That's my time with the kids. I'm never on my phone. I'm never on social media. I'm never on email. I'm never doing any of that stuff. I don't even check my diary. Literally the night before, I would check my diary and know what's coming. But until they've gone to school, until after 9 o'clock, I'm not looking at any of it. And
mm,
after 3 o'clock, when I've done the school run, then they're with me now, and I'm not with my phone, and I'm not on my laptop, and I'm not committing to doing anything, because this is what I found. When you work with the kids around, when you work with other people around, this blend, it's not productive because you're not in flow state. You cannot get into a flow state when you are distracted by people popping in, and they
mm,
don't get the best of you. So I find it's better to have quality functions of time where you have time blocks. So I have my working time block during the school day, and I have a working time block in the evening sometimes. But
mm,
I do it so that it fits in with my energy levels and how I am. I'm very much a morning person. So I know between 9 and 12, I can burn through podcast episodes, I can burn through clients, and I can be really proactive with clients. I have my group mastermind coaching calls, usually up until 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I'm on a lull. I need some self-time. I need to get out. I need to get in a green space, get my creativity juices back up. And then I'll pick the kids up. I'm with the kids. I've got 3 hours of focus time with the kids, maybe 4. And then in the evening, I do my research. So I settle down with a book. And here's how I like to think. Somebody once said to me, why did you go into business? Because all you're doing is moaning about it. I was moaning about being on social media all the time, having to do this, having to do that. It's so much work. And she was like, hang on a minute. This is your side hustle. This is supposed to be the thing that you do to escape your day job because you like it more than your day job. And what you're describing to me is you don't like it. Aha, light bulb moment. Yes,
mm.
you're right. You're
Yeah.
absolutely right. Now, I was actually in the wrong business. I was doing leadership coaching to get women, more women into leadership roles, realizing that I actually was secretly hating my leadership role and hating being in the corporate world. So it was incongruent. I was getting women into roles that I was secretly thinking, you don't want this job. Trust me, you want to go do something else. You want to create your own freedom. You want to have your own business. And that's what that led to.
Mm,
But here's the thing, during that moment, you are you're getting aligned with your purpose. And I feel like when you think of your business as your life's work, I like to think of it that now. I've now found the thing that is my mission, that I'm happy for it to be my life's work. I'm thinking long term with this. It'll grow, and it'll grow at the pace that suits my life. If I'm not going to give it the 100 hours a week, then no, I know it's not going to grow as fast. If I'm not going to invest all the money that I have back into the business, I know it's not going to grow as fast, but I'm okay with that. In this season of life, I need to be around my kids more. So
mm,
for me, the balance is I'm going to have quality amounts of time, but it's a bit more of a blend because my kids do see me do things. Sometimes I do a speaking event and they see that. Sometimes they see me writing my book. Sometimes they'll see me, reading my books and doing my research, and they know what I'm doing. Sometimes they see my stuff on my laptop and they get involved. And I want them to be part of what's happening, but I don't want it to be to the detriment of the quality time that I spend with them.
mm,
So balance is different for everybody. And I don't think you can quantify it by an amount of time, because sometimes all it takes is 10 minutes in the car with one of your kids having an honest conversation, or, it takes one date night a week. Me and my husband literally have a breakfast together every Saturday morning while the kids are at French school. We go off and have breakfast together. That's our date night equivalent. That's just breakfast together once a week. That's not every day. We have many evening meals together, but with the kids as well. That's our quality time. Yeah, it'd be nice to say, well, I do that every day, but would I value it the same? Would we have the same in-depth conversations if we speak every single morning over breakfast and that's all we had? No. So I'm okay with making sure we carve out the quality conversations and making sure we have this blend and keeping an eye on the fact that my work has got to feed my soul. You know, there's some of it that we don't like in the middle of the day, but there's bits of it like when the kids go to bed where I've curled up with this book and I'm researching something that I'm so engrossed that it doesn't feel like work. So some bits do and some bits don't. I don't know if that answers your question. That's just how I
So
make it
much.
work.
It's so, that was also good. Basically, it's quality over quantity. Like, it's the quality of time that you're spending. It's not necessarily like less is more, which is beautiful, because your kids also want to have their time to do their things, and they, you know, and again, how appreciative of it are you if you're like doing this every single morning with this time? Like, you and your husband really look forward to that time together, and you come with really being present to each other, where if it's every morning, there could be other things going on where you're not as present and focused on your relationship. And it also comes down to the word that came up for me again is communication. Like, literally 10 minutes in the car with your child, communicating and being present is so much more valuable than everything going off, but you're 2 hours together, right? You're cooking dinner and they're on their computer doing their homework, but you've got 2 hours together. That's not relationship.
No, no, or even, and I see this so often, you know, on your phone. Oh, an alert's come through. I must check it immediately. We have such an unhealthy relationship with our phones. I have a very hard stance because I don't want my kids to be sat at the dinner table on their phones. I don't want them to ignore me over a text message or WhatsApp message, whatever's going on. I want them to be present and have conversations and still have real world relationships. So just by the fact that I'm trying to role model the expectation, it makes me leave my phone out on the side. It makes me leave it upstairs when I'm downstairs with them, or vice versa. You know, those sorts of healthy habits mean that you do connect more and you're not as distracted by it, because it is so distracting, isn't it, in the modern world? It's just the way it is.
Absolutely. And my daughter, my daughter had something happen with her, and I was picking her up from school. So I love that you said, like, even 10 minutes in the car. I picked her up from school and I was on the phone with my business partner, and she got in the car. I said hi, but I was on the phone, and I look over and she got emotional, and I'm like, what's wrong? Are you upset? She's like, no. And then I hung up and we had a conversation and she got emotional. So I let her be, and we tried to talk through it, but she wasn't ready. Later on, she told me, she goes, I feel like you're on the phone a lot with work. And I said, thank you for sharing. I said, and I get to be present with you. So my commitment is, when I pick you up, that is our time, because we get so much time between dropping her off at ice skating or going to pick up my son. Like, that's our time together. And also, I'm sharing this because thank goodness that she did that. Like, that happened for her to share with me, because we're always in the go, go, go. And we get to get this work done, or this is pressing. But at the end of the day, our children are more pressing than anything. They're number one, because we only have so much time with them. They're going to become adults. They're going to have their own families, and we're going to wish we had that time back. So as hard as it is for me to share that, because it's not something I'm proud of, but communicate with your children. Let them know that you're open to receiving feedback from them when something's bothering them, or when they're feeling like you're not present, because we want to be role models for them. So we're trying to emulate things. And as entrepreneurs, like, we're setting great examples for them to go after their dreams and go achieve them. But at the same time, we also get to make sure that we're shutting it down, and we're not so focused in our business and what we want to create for our dreams, for us and them, that we're missing out on the beauty of them growing up and being present for them too, even if it's just for 5 or 10 minutes in those increments. You shared something about, what was it? Oh, I hope I didn't lose it, because it just came to me. Oh, okay. So you had shared that you were helping women in leadership, right? And then you found that you hated it. And I know we're coming to our time, and this is what happens. This is why I give ourselves so much time, because I want to make sure that, because such good conversations, like, I could talk for 2 hours, and I feel like this is one of those conversations, but I'm going to be respectful of your time. And I know you told me your kiddos, it's dinner time. So you've got your kiddos in the background for you. So just real quick, I don't know if this can be a quick, and if we can't, maybe we'll bring you back for this. But for those people are finding, because the climate of the world right now, there are so many coaches online, so many entrepreneurs online that came into this space during the pandemic, and they're just not where they wanted to be, where they thought they would be. Because like you said, it's hard. It's not easy. This is not an easy journey. I've been in this 6 years and it's been up and down and up. It's not easy. And same with you. You've said that. If somebody's feeling like many are going back to corporate because they want that paycheck and so we're going to see a lot of people going through burnout in that space. So I'm so happy that you're helping women in this space. For those who are feeling like, you know what, I got into something and I feel like I'm stuck, I can't pivot now. What would be your suggestions for how to navigate that process and how to pivot so they are stepping into something that lights them up?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So I do a lot of work, which is visualizing your future self. I think when we get more connected to our true self, I mean, psychologists say you have the real self and then you have your ideal self, but really you have your current self, which is made up a lot of commitments, all of the relationships, the labels that get put on you, which could be your job, it could be the fact that you're a mum, it could be all these other things. And most of your time is consumed by honoring these commitments and these relationships. But really, there's this version of your future self. This is the one where you've got all this unleashed potential and you're doing the thing that lights you up, and you're showing up in every aspect of your life. You're showing up as a better mum, you're showing up as a better friend, as a better daughter, as a better wife, whatever it is, as well as in your business. And I believe you need to connect with that. You need to bring that closer to where you are now. And this means you've got to start by journaling it, visualizing it. I do a visualization meditation. If you want to check out my podcast, The Lifestyle Entrepreneur Show, we'll share the link. But basically, I have found that when people have got a really strong connection with what that future self looks like, you can start to do more actions that are in line with that person. That person shows up bolder. They have the answers. The answers are there. It might be that you actually need to start having conversations with people that say, hey, this is what I do. Did you know this is what I do? Do you know anybody who needs this? And you're not having those networking, bold conversations. I find most of my clients come through referrals or through my network, people I actually have a conversation with. And yet we're so conditioned in the online world to just put something on social media and expect somebody to buy. They're not going to. You're going to have to ask many, many times. You're going to have conversations. You're going to have to go out and meet people and arrange coffee chats, and that will just spread. But the thing is, when you're doing it from a place where you feel weak, where you feel that you're not sure about your offer, and you can see this in people, the people who have the confidence in what they do, how they do it, and that they can work for a client, they tend to get easier, better results. But you can almost see the hesitancy in some people. I'm not sure this is here. I'm not sure I'm confident enough, bold enough to stand here and say I can help you. And then that shows. And that's why it's really important to step into your future self. And one of the ways that you can do that is the journaling, the meditation, the visualization, getting closer and clarity about how that person shows up. Because in your ideal future self, there's 3 things that they always get you to look at a life coach. They'll get you to think about who you want to be, what you want to do, and what you want to have. However, you can't have the stuff until you are that person. So you have to become that person. Then you have to do the hard work, which might mean I've now got to stand up on a stage. I've now got to show up and go live frequently, like not just 5 times and nobody showed up, but like every day for a year or 2. Like this is long game. And maybe I've got to go and speak on podcasts. Maybe I've got to have a part-time job to keep the bills paid while I do this. And I've got to want to do this. I've got to know that I'm passionate and serious about this future self person. That's me. And then when you have become that person, you're doing the do, you get to have the rewards. You get to have the clients, the £1 million business, the press, the media coverage, all of that sort of thing. But the problem is most of us are stuck trying to become that person that has these things, that does those things. And you have to become that person to do those actions in the right way. And another thing that you can do to really get close to this person is if it feels too uncomfortable, because for many people it does, then there's 2 things going on here. One is you have got your own limiting beliefs, self-sabotage, because you've decided this current version of myself is who I am, and I'm fixed mindset, as Carol Dweck would say. We know we should have a growth mindset. I can learn stuff. Oh, but I can't become somebody else. Well, yes, you can. You have become somebody that is completely different than the child you were. You know, when you were a teenager, you grew. 10 years, you grew, you changed. Then, so we have that sort of going on, us holding ourselves back. And then we have expectations. Oh, my husband thinks I'm like this, so I can't show up bold. I mean, we know how this feels like. I had a really great analogy this week. You know, when you put on an outfit that you loved, but is really out there, you kind of overdressed for the occasion, but you felt good. You're like in the changing room, you're like, really like this. I'm going to wear this. Maybe, you know, it's something really bright or something really colorful and you don't normally do that, but you feel good in it. And then when you go to go out in it, you almost want to go, do you know what? I'm just going to go back upstairs and put my jeans and t-shirt on. Or it's even worse when somebody says to you, you're going out in that? And you're like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not going out in that. Are you a bit overdressed? I get that a lot. Sue, are you overdressed? And we go and rein it back in. We dull our light. We dim our light. And instead of going out as that person that is our future self, because our future self will go, no, I look fab and I feel fab. I don't care what you think. Instead, we're going, oh, the expectation is I don't wear stuff like this. I don't go out like this. I need jeans and t-shirt. I need to dim it down, dim my light. And there's nothing wrong with jeans and t-shirt. Don't worry, I live in jeans and t-shirt all of the time. But my point is, when you do that thing that you want to step into that, but you're worried about what other people will think. So all of that is stopping you from stepping powerfully into your future self. Now, Beyonce created an alter ego so that she could show up on stage as confident and sexy and do all these dance moves. She created an alter ego called Sasha Fierce. And studies have shown that if you are struggling to connect, think of it as a third person, this alter ego, this person you're going to act as, and give them a name. And then every now and then say, I'm going to go out as such and such today. I'm going to show up as such and such on this live. And just try stepping into your future self shoes. The more you do it, maybe it's an event that you don't know anybody and you're going to go to a new networking event. You're like, they don't know me. I'm going to show up as such and such this week. You know, Sasha Fierce showed up on stage and Beyonce crushed it. Beyonce was shy. She was like, I can't do this. But when she stepped into her alter ego, she could do it. That's where the magic lies, because it's all in there. You have exactly what it takes, but something's holding you back. You've got that break on and you've got to peel away the layers of the onion, get to your limiting beliefs, get to your self-sabotage, deal with what you're fearful of, deal with the judgment outside, address every single one of those. And it's a time-consuming process. Trust me, I'm working through it with people. But once you've unleashed that potential and you've stepped into a powerful version of yourself, which will go on and will change and will grow with every new level, there's a new devil. But with that, you can manifest any life goal. You really can.
Yeah. Oh, so good. And I love the Sasha Fierce story. I've heard that. It's just, it gets me every time I hear it. I can never hear it enough. Such a great reminder. And I always think of her GIF, like if that's how who knows if you call it GIF or GIF, I call it GIF, when she's like throwing her hair back or whatever. And that's like Sasha Fierce in her finest. So absolutely love that. And if you're feeling like, you know, you're afraid to shine your light, reach out to Sue. She'll support you. And so, you know, and I love everything you said, because the fear can hold us back. And Les Brown shared a story about the graveyard. And there's so many, the graveyard is the richest place on earth because that's where all the dreams are held from the people that were too afraid to put them out there and go after them. And what would the world be like right now? And what would their life have been like up until they passed? Like what contribution could be made? What would their life have been like? What would the legacy that they would leave to their children behind them if they would move through the fear? So I love everything that you shared, and it's really important that we're shining our light, which is why I'm so grateful for you to be here today, shining your light and sharing your wisdom with us. How can we get more of you, Sue? Where can we find you?
Oh, thank you, Heidi. Oh, I would love for people to check out my podcast, The Lifestyle Entrepreneur Show. I share lots of, I call them motivational pills. Somebody said to me once, I wish I could just take a motivation pill. I was like, that's what I need to do for people. I need to spur you into action, because I honestly believe if you can take control and take empowered action every single day, then you can achieve anything. You really can. My website is sueparker.net. Please send me a message, and you can DM me. I'm on LinkedIn, Sue Parker, and I can share you the links. And I am Sue Parker over on Instagram. Just drop me a DM. I would love to hear from you and know what is it that's going on for you.
Oh, so good. Thank you for sharing that. And you can grab all of Sue's links and everywhere you can find her, and how to work with her will be in the show notes. So if you want more information, go connect with her, go reach out with her. The biggest takeaways I've had from this conversation is the 3 C's. We've got connection, we've got communication, maybe it's 4 C's. We've got collaboration, and then you just shared another one. And what was it? Connection, collaboration, communication, and you said something else. I will pull it up, but it's definitely 3 C's. And definitely the biggest takeaways for me is it all comes down to communication. And, just, you're not alone. No matter what you're going through, no matter what you're feeling, you're not alone. And people are out there to support you. You are seen, you are heard. We love you. And we want you to be seen, be heard, and empowered to do so you can shine your light and make the impact and difference that you want to make in the world. But not only that, to create the dreams and step into the vision that you have for yourself and for your family on your terms. Love that. So good. Sue, real quick, before we wrap up, and I'm going to let you get back to your kiddos and your family, is there a fun fact that you can share that we wouldn't know about you if we just, were searching you on the social?
Oh, I don't know if it's fun, but we have a place in France, and we got married there. And my son, we spent the first year of his life there, and we are currently going through a visa application process to move the whole family from the UK to the southwest of France. And yeah, kind of live an idyllic lifestyle, doing my lifestyle business from France. I don't know if that's fun, but to me it's fun. To me it's
That's
exciting.
super fun.
Scary as hell.
Yeah, that's super fun.
Yeah.
I love it. It's super fun, super exciting, and super scary all at the same time. I'm sure it's like, in that transition. And so that just proves even more that you're walking the talk. Like, you're stepping out of your comfort zone. You are going after your dreams and your goals and your vision on your own terms. And I celebrate you and congratulations. And I'm so excited. So please keep us posted on how that all goes to
Oh,
France.
thank you, Heidi. It's been fab. I've loved chatting with you. So we definitely must stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sue, for joining me. Thank you all for listening and to the Be S.H.E podcast. Go be seen, be heard, and empowered to shine your light in the world. The world needs you.